Star Wars is struggling to get back on the silver screen. Outside of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie by Jon Favreau, everything else seems to be just theory. Now we're hearing that Lucasfilm has had 3 different roadmaps for making Star Wars movies again, and all of them have collapsed. It's no surprise, for it seems that Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy thought audiences would rise for an Acolyte movie. No, seriously. And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special video here on the Pro Channel. We are joined by the ever-elusive X-Wing. We have managed to capture him and bring him in for a video extraordinaire. X-Wing, I do declare, I hope we can match up with the excellence of your stash.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for having me back on. It's been far too long. We used to do these all the time.
We used to do it all the time.
Yeah, you know how it is. New father.
Then you got the stash and the kid, and now you make Tom Selleck feel inadequate. I hope you're happy with yourself.
I could never.
Well, you know who feels inadequate right now?
Yeah.
Leslie Headland and Kathleen Kennedy. Folks, we only ask that you click the like button, and we're going to give you a full-blown class here in what's going on with Star Wars. There is no tuition. You're all on scholarship. Click the like button. That's the only payment we need. And here we go. Out of that Park Place, M. Montanaro, stands for Marvin. He's the author, says the Acolyte creator Leslie Headland planned for 3 seasons and a movie, according to Star. And folks, that's not all. We've got more on Star Wars. If you think this is the whole story, hang tight, because we're here to tell you the roadmap that Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm, and Disney have. I don't believe it's real. And I don't believe that there is a roadmap other than, at this point, if The Mandalorian and Grogu fails, it's all over. It's a dead end. No mo. That's what I think. We'll talk about it. The Star Wars universe just can't seem to win lately. Perhaps the greatest example of modern Lucasfilm's shortcomings can be found in the story of The Acolyte, the controversial Star Wars High Republic Disney Plus series by one Mr. Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslie Headland. They hate when you remind them where she came from. The series was canceled after a single season, but one of its stars let slip that Headland had ambitious plans for her creation that included 3 whole seasons and a movie. X-Wing, can you believe we can add another Star Wars movie to the list of canceled Star Wars films under Kathleen Kennedy? I'm telling you, I think at this point, there's not just more canceled films than real films. It's like a 3-to-1 ratio.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the YouTuber that promises that they're going to do 7 different podcasts, and everyone gets really excited about it. And then it turns out they only do 1 podcast, maybe if they're lucky, and it gets canceled after a week. It's been pretty wild to see. And I'm sure that Leslie Headland wishes that she could have had 3 seasons and a movie, but wish in one hand, grab in the other, and see which one fills up first. The people have spoken, man. I mean, this has been going on forever. I don't know if you remember way back in the day, whatever it was, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when they actually did have a legitimate roadmap that they put out in front of the fans that had all of the different shows on it. And I think one of those got made.
I had forgot about it, X-Wing. You're right. They had a full-blown roadmap.
Yeah.
And
folks, one or 2 of them got made, maybe.
Okay. In the comments, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some homework for you. We apologize. We hate homework, but we're bringing it to you. Go find that roadmap from a few years ago on the Star Wars Celebration screen and tell us what percentage of the stuff they said was coming actually made it through.
Yeah.
Here's more from the article. Recently, Manny Jacinto, known for his role as Khmer in The Acolyte, shed light on Headland's original vision for the show during a panel at Fan Expo. And folks, if you don't know who Khmer is, well, he was the one wearing the Dino Rangers mask, parading around as if he was part of the Dark Force. I remember Leslie Headland's dream was for us to do 3 seasons, not just this one, Jacinto said. But there's something about having a finite ending to things that makes it so much... I'm sorry, I gotta stop. This is bad. Let's start over, folks. The spin is real. Maytag cannot spin like this. Here we go. I remember Leslie's dream was for us to do 3 seasons, not just this one. But there's something about having a finite ending to things that makes it so much more special. Actually, let me tell you, if I get canceled tomorrow, it's not special.
That's just the perfect example of fries in a large cope. Like it's perfect.
So yeah, I don't know if I'd do it or not, but 3 seasons in a movie would have been incredible. And I know we had so much more to explore with that second season, but it's okay, folks, because getting canceled, well, it's something more special about being canceled. Oh my gosh, large fries and a what'd you say, a Diet Coke? That's amazing.
Fries in a large cope, yeah.
That's amazing. All right, so X-Wing, let's talk about this for just a minute. They had grand plans for the Acolyte. We all knew this was going to bomb terribly. Somehow they didn't. Somehow they had no idea this was going to go this way. And so they were planning for 3 seasons plus a movie. So that means they had a Disney Plus series that was going to tie into a movie. By the way, we know that this involved Yoda and a lot of these legacy characters. So I have no doubt that somehow, some way, this was going to tie into then what Dave Filoni was supposedly doing with this trilogy that starts off with Favreau and his Mandalorian and Grogu movie and is supposed to finish off with Filoni and his Thrawn stuff, bringing all these characters together. But apparently Star Wars fans have had enough and they're not coming back. And that means they cannot make any of this stuff because nobody cares. The ratings are terrible. They're abysmal. Skeleton Crew is down on the count. And what I have to ask you, I suppose, is there anything left outside of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that can revivify Star Wars in the near term?
No. So, I'm in a much more comfortable place as a Star Wars fan now. I don't have to think about this stuff anymore. I finally let the apathy creep in, and I just don't care now. I just don't care. They were able to kill it off that completely for me. So we knew this was going to happen. We've been saying this for years and years and years and years and years. We said, essentially you'd lost touch with your core fan base, and we knew it was coming, and the apathy set in. What we said after that was, you're going to lose touch with the normies here soon as well, because this doesn't even feel like Star Wars to the folks who don't love Star Wars. And that's exactly what happened. They lost the normies as well. So you've lost your hardcore fan base. You've now lost the normies. You're making shows for no one. I mean, that's not exactly a recipe for success here at this point. So I don't know what they're going to do. And to be completely honest with you, their best bet is to put some kind of a big Hollywood blockbuster like The Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters and hope somehow that's able to kick over the engine to get people excited about The Mandalorian and Grogu again. But to be perfectly fair, I think that ship kind of sailed a while ago.
But X-Wing, let's play this out. So Mandalorian and Grogu comes out in 2026. Mm-hmm. With all of these movies that have failed, and we're going to show you more movies that they're not going to make. With all of these movies gone now, what that says to me is, here's what we have left. We have Andor Season 2. Mm-hmm. We think that's going to come out. Supposedly, we're going to get Ahsoka Season 2. Mm-hmm. So let's say that's got a 60% chance of coming out. All right? We've got the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and that's 100%. And beyond that, everything else is like single-digit percentage chances that they're actually going to make it. And here's what I'm asking you. If Mandalorian and Grogu flops, it's over. Am I wrong? I mean, like, that is it. That is the last chance.
Yeah, I think there's a push probably that Dave Filoni really wants to try to start hammering home his theft idea for Heir to the Empire. I think he's going to keep trying to push that, and they'll attempt to milk that as well as they can. Again, Ahsoka, in my opinion at least, was a complete failure. It was a complete failure for the fans who were excited to get something that was like Heir to the Empire, any of the Chiss stuff that we were excited about, Thrawn, any of that stuff. I think it was an absolute failure. They tried to girl power the heck out of the show. So in terms of like what do they have left, that's pretty much the only direction they can go at this point, is that they'll try to hold on to a couple of the prequel fans, maybe with like Ahsoka and continuing to bring Hayden Christensen back, just to jangle those keys and get some butts in seats. But in terms of original IPs that Disney has for Star Wars, no, they're cooked. They're completely cooked.
And you're not optimistic about a Rey movie. That says it all, folks. That really says it all. But Lucasfilm says she's the last property they have that can really succeed. We'll let that be for the moment, because here's how desperation looks, folks. Take a look. This is the roadmap. You saw roadmap A. You saw roadmap B. A was, we're going to get 3 seasons out of Leslie Headland plus a movie. Nope. Plan B, roadmap B, was we're going to get Dave Filoni to get all these series together, and that's going to culminate into a trilogy. Probably nope. And, well, set aside all the stuff about James Mangold and the others who are supposed to be working on Star Wars movies that never, ever, ever, ever come out. Yeah, we're looking at you, Obaid Chinoy. Well, here's Simon Kinberg, because it just never stops with announcements that never happen.
Yeah.
This is by Brendan Morrow from USA Today. It says, Simon Kinberg tapped to write new Star Wars trilogy. Here's what we know. The Force has awakened once again. Oh, boy, yeah. With 1/10 the excitement. A new trilogy of Star Wars films set to be written and produced by Simon Kinberg is in the works at Lucasfilm, a person familiar with the studio's plans, who was unauthorized to speak publicly, confirmed to USA Today. Sure they were.
Yeah.
Probably sent by Disney to say,
100%. Yeah.
Gin up some excitement, please. The movies are in the very early stages of development. Yeah, they always are. And are said to be the beginning of a new saga. They always are. Not a continuation of the Skywalker saga that comprised all the prior episodes. Yeah, well, that dooms it as well.
Yeah.
Plot details have not been disclosed, and it was not immediately clear whether they will receive numerical titles like the Skywalker saga movies. Kinberg is best known for his work in the X-Men franchise, having written several entries and directed 2019's Dark Phoenix. Now, let's just pause. Folks, I know we've talked about this before because we laughed, and we laughed heartily at the idea that all they could find, all they have left, is the guy who did Dark Phoenix. That's what's coming to Star Wars.
Wasn't he involved on the Deadpool movies too?
I don't know. Listen, Dark Phoenix is bad enough. Don't throw him a lifeboat here.
Yeah, sorry. This is so Lucasfilm. This is so Lucasfilm Disney. Like, you want to talk about repeated behavior of just like this place is a director grindhouse. So I think what keeps happening is they bring in a name to try to drum up some excitement about a project. And then they grind that director down to the bone saying, this is how you need to do it. This is how you need to do it. This is how you need to do it. And they're like, I don't want to do this. And they leave because of creative differences, and or the project finally gets made and it either wasn't the vision of the director or studio interference, essentially got it to the point where it looks nothing like what they wanted to do and it flops. And the cycle repeats. And now they're like, ooh, what about Simon Kinberg? Let's get him in there. Like, it's not going to fix it. It doesn't matter what name you attach to it.
By the way, his official work with Deadpool has been as a producer. So that's great. But so X-Wing, here's the deal. We've got 3 roadmaps for Star Wars to go forward. And all of them collapse if Jon Favreau cannot deliver an absolute winner, a stunner, because these movies, these Star Wars movies, just by default of what they are, they come with huge price tags.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people talk about, well, if Star Wars could get their budgets under control, and I agree, like Andor being $600 million plus, that's insanity. But you're still talking about a Star Wars movie is going to have a $200 million budget. There's no way around it. Yeah. And the marketing is going to have to be 150, maybe more, because nobody wants to watch these anymore. So you got to market the living daylights out of them. Yeah. So you've got a $400 million budget baked into the cake. That means you got to have $800 million as your take home from the full box office. Star Wars can't do that anymore because they destroyed it. So. Right. So you got a baseline $800 million. Mm-hmm. And the only way that you bring this thing back is you got to have a $1 billion plus, easy $1 billion plus Mando Grogu movie. And if not, you've already lost the Leslie Headland roadmap that we all could have told them was never going to work. That's gone. You've already lost essentially the Dave Filoni trilogy because the Disney Plus series have failed. So if nobody cares about those characters, nobody wants to see them in a trilogy. And now you're down to this crazy thing they've got going on with Kinberg, right? Dark Phoenix, man. Okay, that's the next thing to fall. The Daisy Ridley movies, who even knows what's going on with that anymore?
That's not going to happen.
There are more people working on Star Wars movies right now that will never come out than I think are working on probably Star Wars movies in production.
Well, and that's the crazy part. You have to think about how many of these upstart projects have gone into it, how much they've paid in salaries, how much they've actually dove in and had, graphic designers and artists and everything working on concept art, and all of it gets junked. They're bleeding money, dude. They're bleeding money. And then when something finally makes it off the floor and actually comes out, it flops every single time. How they're still alive, I legitimately don't understand. But okay. I'm not a business guy, so
let me toss you a theory, and you tell me what you think about it. Folks have heard this over and over and over, and they're sick of it. And so I'm not going to present it as the reality. I just want to know what you think about this theory I have. What I'm thinking is, let's say I've got Kathleen Kennedy, and she's got to go. But I don't want to get rid of her if I'm Bob Iger because I've only got 1 year left and I want somebody else to have to do it.
Okay.
But I also can't greenlight anything that she's doing because she's terrible. She's just terrible. And everything she does just goes to crap. So what do I do? Well, one thing I could do is we could pretend. We could slowly let it burn out until somebody else comes in to take over and start a new vision. And we could just pretend. We could come up with all these stupid ideas that we know that it's never going to happen, and we could make press releases about it. And maybe even Kathy could just pretend. Just let her pretend. And we'll give her tiny budgets to let people write scripts. Just here, go get some scripts made, Kathy. Feel like you're doing something. Make some coffee and make some scripts, and we'll look at them. And I kind of feel like that's where we are right now. I mean, think about it. Kathleen Kennedy, how old is she, X-Wing? She's in her early 70s.
Is she really?
Yes. And the gestational period on these movies is like 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So she's not going to be there when they're made. So just let's do the award ceremonies and let's just go.
Pat her on the head. Yeah, pat her on the head. Get out of here. Good job.
Right. That's
you're the greatest. You're the greatest studio head we've ever seen. Thank you. Right. Bye.
That's what I think. That's where I think we are. I don't know if she leaves in a year. I don't know if she leaves in 2 or 3 years. I just think that somebody at Disney has said, that's enough. We're not giving them any more stuff. Just let it burn itself out and we'll start over when somebody else comes in. We're not going to fight her. We're not going to have a big PR battle with her. I don't want to fool with her, but this is what we're going to do.
I love that theory for sure. I think you give Bob Iger maybe a little too much credit. But yeah, I mean, if I were going to do it, that's probably how I would do it as well. It still doesn't explain how the Acolyte got greenlit and made because that show was not cheap.
I can tell you how it was greenlit and made. That happened in 2020 during the height of the pandemic. She brought in Leslie Headland as a special hire at a time, according to our good friend Script Doctor, at a time when Disney had put a blockade on picking up anybody in any projects.
Yeah,
and so there was something very strange going on there. I'll tell you. And I've always theorized. I can't prove this, but I've always theorized picking up Leslie Headland was a way to have some insurance at Lucasfilm that nobody wanted to mess with Kathleen Kennedy. I can't prove that, but that's what I think. So, by the way, Kathleen Kennedy, 71 years old, X-Wing.
There you go. Okay.
So she's got the Mando movie. After that, nothing's in production. So we're talking about she would be 75-ish for any other movies that could possibly come out.
Yeah. This is I'm not making this political, but it's a Bidenesque situation where it's like, all right, maybe we should be looking at a different option here at this point, especially with how long that these things take. It's longer than a presidency, than a term to actually get this thing to the point where you're filming, scripts are in, all the casting's done, and we're actually filming and getting things done. And then not to mention post-production, 6 years, 7 years to be done.
Creatively, this is Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're talking about this was the biggest franchise in the world. And you were one of the biggest fans of it. I loved it. I love the archetypal storytelling in it. Nobody cares about it anymore.
Yeah.
But you're right. We've reached the point now where Star Wars is announced and, Battlestar Galactica can get more excitement than Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Easily. Dune has completely taken over in my mind and a lot of people's kind of vision of sci-fi when everybody was comparing Dune 2 to Empire Strikes Back, which I have my own problems with that analogy, but it's kind of taken over the sci-fi spotlight for sure. And so when we get another campy Taika Waititi type, stupid, unserious, overcolored Star Wars film in whatever it is, 2026, that nobody cares about because nothing that they do in any of their shows has any impact on the overall arc of the universe at all, and they can undo it in the last episode of a season in about 30 seconds. You have to ask yourself, why do we care? Why does anyone care? And the numbers show no one does.
Nobody does. And by the way, your obsession with Dune 2 is noted. I think it's unhealthy how much you enjoy movies with Zendaya, but I'll let it be.
Zendaya. Yeah. Chani.
That's right. By the way, X-Wing, when we look at where Star Wars is and where it's going, the only thing that I can come up with, unless somehow, some way, The Mandalorian and Grogu turns out to be this huge blockbuster success. And I don't think that's going to happen. I hope for Favreau it is, because I would hate to see his career tarnished. But if that doesn't happen, the only thing I think they can do is completely wipe the sequel trilogy, turn it into a Legends-style alternative story. And you got to go back to what George had submitted, because you got to give this authenticity. You got to go with the George scripts, maybe modify them enough that they're palatable, because we both know that George later in his career had some really weird stuff.
Yeah.
We don't want to wind up with another Crystal Skull situation. So you might have to alter them a little bit. You're going to have to recast the original characters if they ever appear, but I don't think they can survive so long as the sequel trilogy stands. I just think it's the poison pill that waits at the end of the story, killing everything they do, and there's no way around it.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, it so that tainted a lot of people and their love for Star Wars. I would venture to say what they've done with Disney Plus and the shows that have come out after is almost worse than the sequel trilogy, believe it or not. So, in my mind, what do they do? Well, they could, if they wipe out the sequel trilogy, or if they, change the show and make it Legends, it really, in my mind, it doesn't fix anything. The damage is done. I think at this point, if they really wanted to make a change, if they wanted to show it was a new step in a different direction, if they wanted to say, look, what we've been doing has not worked, go in a wildly different direction. Do a Christopher Nolan-esque type, super serious, dark, takes itself seriously kind of trilogy. And I think that could work. I mean, it's brought life into a lot of other franchises, Dune being one of them, Batman with a Nolan trilogy, seeing some of these sci-fi remakes in a more kind of a serious, darker tone. They seem to do pretty well, and I certainly enjoy them. So,
and you want Henry Cavill? I know.
yeah. Henry Cavill is Darth Bane.
You are stash bros at this point. I know.
Yeah, I'm the neck bearded basement nerd that's like, just make a serious Star Wars movie.
By the way, in the perfect universe, what happens here is that Gina Carano wins with the settlement. Disney caves and gives her everything, and part of that was they'd have to give her role back. I just want, because they've already finished filming for Mandalorian and Grogu, so I hope there's an end credit scene where Cara Dune shows up and she's just eating shawarma, and she just flips off, she just flips off one of the Mandalorian characters, and we cut
shawarma.
Having shawarma, and she gets a $5 million paycheck for that. That would be a good time for me.
I would love that. I would love that for Gina. I wouldn't blame her at all if she never set foot in another Lucasfilm building ever again.
I'll go watch another movie, and then I'll walk over. Don't tell the theater owners. I'll walk over for the end credit scene where she just flips them all off.
Yep.
In the end shawarma scene. Perfect.
Yep. I love it.
Folks. That's the strategy. That's the roadmap we're giving to Star Wars. But remember, we now have 3 failed roadmaps, and all 3 of them, if they're ever going to have anything come about, the Acolyte won't, but it all hinges, the remaining ones, on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Can it make $1 billion or more? XWing says nay. I say bring Cara Dune this way. It's the only way moving forward. All right, folks, it's your time to help this video move forward. Click the like button, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts and tell us, would you love to see Gina Carano get a $5 million payday to appear for a shawarma mid-credit scene? XWing, before we go away, after having had an obscenely good video today, tell the folks where they can find you and what you've been up to, modifying and transmogrifying yourself into a mustache YouTube. I mean, a gaming channel.
Yes. Yeah. Gaming channel. Like I said, the apathy set in. As you can tell, I was a huge Star Wars fan for a very long time. That's what I started my channel as. But apathy set in, and God, my life has been the better for it. Way less stressed out, way less angry most of the time. So now we've got a great gaming community. We hang out, live stream, play games, talk about pop culture. Wing Wednesdays. We have our Wing Wednesday show right after Bro Science, and we just have fun over there. It's great. XWing 5. That's the handle.
And folks, don't forget, XWing is also a little bit aglow because he's all into that dad life lately. Congrats again, XWing, and hope you're having fun. May the blowout diapers be few.
Oh, yeah, we've had a few.
Oh, parent life when you say, how in the world did the poop get there?
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're heading out. The poop hits the fan with Star Wars, but not here on the Pro Channel. Hope you'll join us for more videos coming up 4 times a day on the way. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, grow a stash. Unless you're a woman. And keep having fun.
Huh. Hey, Floral. I just wanted to let you know I have a New Year's resolution.
Okay.
Although, I don't want to say it. It might be like a wish. If I speak it, I'll break it.
Usually a resolution is spoken out loud so you can be held accountable to it. Like, my resolution is to go to thatparkplace.com and be ready to see its new facelift, and to make sure I'm always subscribed to guys like Jonas and Pro, Culture Casino, Lorena Creole, John Trent, all of them.
Well, I actually got Slade Wilson to also make a resolution.
What's that?
I'd get in too much trouble if I repeated it. He took it way further than I feel comfortable repeating.
Well, that's probably a good call. But, what's yours?
It's not to say anything mean about Jonas.
How do you plan to do that? You're an idiot.